back to Simbright Fashion Academy YouTube channel for another interesting tutorial. So in this class I'll be showing you how to sew these strips systematically and still have a perfect inseam finishing for the back. So if you look at the back, you can see it's turned neatly with lining. So this is a demonstration tutorial. Okay, so the main thing is to learn the tips and tricks to turning and having a perfect finishing. So if you look here, you can see there is no part that is rough. This is the lining or the inside, and it's neat, and the front is also neat. Okay, so I just made a few pieces of this, and this was made in a hurry. But then if you learn the tips, just try and arrange your strips, so they will be straight on the same line. The strips are supposed to be on the same line. Okay, so if this is what you want to learn, please stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So in this class, I'll be showing you how to make this beautiful pattern basket skirt. It's actually a gown, but I'm going to show you how to make the down part of this dress, okay, with the pattern design. I have my skirt pattern front, and this is my skirt pattern back. This is my waist for the back, waist for the front. This is my upper hip, my lower hip. So if you want to understand what we are doing in this class, you need to know how to draft your perfect skirt pattern first. So I'm just showing you what I have right here. Okay, my hip line, upper hip, lower hip line, my waistline back and front, my knee line. This is my actual knee, that is knee position. So if you measure from your waist to your knee, whatever you have here, this is the line for it. Okay, so and after it comes you measure 4 inches from your knee position. So if from your waist to your knee is 21, this from here to here will be 25. So this is 4 inches. I believe you understand that. So from your knee position, where the knee is down here, you measure 4 inches before you start to take other measurements. So from that point, I'm going to measure another 3 inches, but this depends on height. I'm measuring another 3 inches, and from here another 3 inches, from here another 3 inches, from here another 3 inches. So I'll advise you, when you are making this particular dress, after 4 inches, check the length of your skirt, where you want the length of the skirt to be. Then you can divide whatever measurement. Let me say I've already gotten my length and I've gotten my knee position, step down by 4 inches. I'll measure what I have left. So here I have 10 inches. So just divide it. Here I divided because I'm working on a small scale, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So just do the actual division to have 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. The same thing here applies to what is here as well. So the last part of the skirt, as you can see on the thumbnail, which is this line, is a plain fabric. We are going to cut this with plain for both back and front. Then this is where we are going to have our basket design. So on this basket design, for the center front, I'm going to step in by 1 inch from the center front. So I'm just working on a small scale, but I'll be giving you the figures required for it. So from center front, you step in by 1 inch. So when you open it, you have 2 inches apart. Then the size of this particular strip we are making right here, I'll be using 0.75 for it. After that, I will mark 2 inches. From that point, I'll mark 0.75 for strip. I'll mark 2 inches, and I'll mark 0.75 for strip. So I'll just go ahead and repeat the same thing. So whatever I have here, remember 1 inch I stepped in. I will mark my strip. This is another part we are going to have that strip, so I'll just go ahead and mark. So the width of this strip, I choose 0.75. You can do 1 inch if you want. After that, another 2 inches this way, and the width of the strip basket is 0.75. I believe you are understanding the gist now. After that, after another 2 inches, you mark the width of the strip, as you can see. So I'll come over here as well, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for this. For this other design, I'll still come in from the center back by 1 inch, or let me start here, 1 inch. I'll measure 0.75 for strip, measure 2 inches as gap, measure 0.75, measure another 2 inches as gap, then measure another 0.75. So I'll just go ahead and do this. So just make sure you distribute it accordingly. So I just keep marking this way. So what I'm actually marking is where or the position of this strip. But this strip, I'm going to use only one piece of it to cut out my strip pattern. Okay, so I'll just use few strips to demonstrate this. So this is what we have for this particular pattern. So it's high time for us to cut what we have on the pattern. So I'll just go ahead. The line I have here is my skirt. So if I'm making a pencil skirt, just as we have right there on the thumbnail, without the strip, I'm just cutting out my pencil skirt, as you can see. I just go over to the waistline. I just go over to the sides, this way, that way. So here I've cut out the back skirt, and this is the zipper position, so please take note. And this is the side of this skirt. So I'll set it aside right now. I'll go ahead once again. This is the front. So just make your skirt pattern the way it works, that works for you. So alright, so this is the center front, and center front is going to be on fold. So it's high time for us now to start making. This is what we have. So this side, I'm going to cut. This particular skirt is going to be cut 2 times. So the reason for cutting this 2 times is because we are going to have a zipper, okay, run on this line. We are going to have a zip, or we are going to join these parts, so to speak. So but before that, this is what we are going to do. We are going to separate the part that is plain and the part that will have this strip. So this is the part that is plain, so I cut that part out, which is the main basic skirt. Okay, so we are going to put this together to work on. Okay, later this part will be joined and attached to this part. So I'm going to apply my gum right now to hold this. So what it means now is I'm working on this as one full pattern piece. When cutting this, I'm going to place this on fold. Of course, I'll show you how to do that. So let me just join it then cut out the strips for you to see. I've gone ahead to join it, so I want you to note that these are the sides for back and front. I joined them together. This is center front and this is center back. So right here and then I'm going to do this, separate this. But before you separate this, please, we are going to make notches. We are going to make notches on this other fabric. So just take your time, make these arrows on the plain fabric. Make these arrows on the plain fabric. Make the arrows on the plain fabric. Also make it on this plain. After, we are going to transfer it to the other, like this, like that. So these are the lines, so to speak, we are going to attach these strings because we are cutting them out. So you can also go ahead and make the arrows on top. Okay, so just take your time and mark out the point at which you are going to have the strips sewn. So all these markings I'm making here, they are going to be transferred. Note, is going to be transferred. So I'll come up on the plain fabric and make the arrows as well. I'll bring in this. I'll also make the arrows as well. And these marks I'm making, we are transferring all of them. So you take your time and do that and transfer them. So I'm going to cut this. I call this A. The whole of this is A and the whole of this is B. So cut out all of this right now. So I have my center front, I have my center back. I'm also going to cut A, which is the plain pattern fabric. So I will use this to cut my plain pattern. I'll also use this to cut my plain pattern. Okay, so right now I'm going to cut on fold. I will have this on fold. I'll have this on fold as well. Okay, so this is the upper. Please note the upper piece and the upper piece, and this is the center back. So the side are joined together. We are going to cut one full of this. So for this is the same thing. Everything we have here is the same. All I'm going to do is to cut out one strip and work with. Okay, so this is one strip and that is what I'm going to work with. So the rest of it, I'm throwing them away, but then I'm going to count how many strips I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so I have 13 strips here, and these 13 strips, okay, let me check well. I'm supposed to have okay, so let me put it together again. It's supposed to be 14. Okay, that's it. So let me just number them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Good. So this 12 right now, I'll multiply it by 2. Remember, we are placing this part on fold for the other side and the other side. So we are cutting 24 of this, but I'm not going to cut the whole of this 24. Remember, this is a tutorial, and this tutorial is to show you how to go about this beautiful dress. So I'm going to make a little combination of this strip. So I'll just go ahead and use any fabric of my choice. So since I'm demonstrating this, I wish to use Ankara to cut out this. Then I will use plain to cut this and cut this. So I'm going to cut this one. We are going to do this step after step. So So this I'm cutting 24 pieces, but I'm not cutting 24 pieces at once like I rightly said. So I will just cut few pieces to show you. So to do this, just place some food, and then I'm going to pin what I have right here. So if you want to cut multiple pieces, if you are cutting multiple pieces, just to save time, just go ahead and fold, because I will not advise you to go ahead to cut this, you know, one after the other. It's actually going to waste your time. So provided you've gotten this one on fold, you fold it again. That is for multiple pieces. Okay, so we have this part on fold. We fold it again, so you can see how I'm folding it. That is for multiple pieces. And then finally you can fold it again. So what I have here now can give me about 4 or 5. Then I'll repeat the same process for the other one. So I'll be placing a part on fold this way, leaving 0.5 inch. So I'll just go ahead and pin. Remember, I'm making multiple pieces, and please remember not to waste your fabric. So I will cut. As you are cutting, please ensure the scissors you are using to cut it is strong enough to take this. So I just cut 0.5. Okay, so I'm just trying to place it well. So I just cut my 0.5. So this is for making multiple, because what we have here, if you have to cut them one after the other, is actually going to take a whole lot of time. So make sure you have your 1/2 inch to sew in the upper piece. So I'll check my 1/2 inch this way. Okay, so I can cut my 1/2 inch. So once that is done, I'll take off this pattern and you'll be seeing how many pieces I made with this. So this is 1, because we are going to stitch 0.5 inch and turn. Okay, we are just going to sew 0.5 inch, we turn. We can just sew a little and turn. I'll show you how to go about that. This is 2, this is 3, 4. You can see we made a whole lot of them. 5, this is 6, this is 7. You see I made 8 with 1, and we need 24. So I can fold again 3 times and I have the 24. So I'll just go to my machine now. I'll be using one to show you how to sew this. I'll just go ahead and sew on the side 0.5, then sew on the tip, so I'll be able to turn. Okay, so I'll quickly do that for all of them now, and I'll bring it back for you to see. Alright, so right now it's time for us to start sewing this. So you have to make sure you have it right side, you know, turn it to the back side and sew on the right side. So for the first one, I'll drop my presser foot and I'm going to measure from the folded parts. Remember, our measurement was at 0.75. So this is the 0.75. So I'll just go ahead and sew the first one. Okay, so I sew the first one, turn this way and sew just a little. Okay, then I'll bring in this other one because I need to sew all of them at once. When you are making this kind of dress, you need to ensure everything is stitched and cut. You don't need to sew them one after the other. So I'm just taking my measurement of 0.5 to be sure, 0.75, sorry, and I'll sew at the tip just to help me turn them. I'll go ahead, I'll keep sewing, taking my accurate measurements. So I'll advise you to just take the 0.5, 0.75. I keep saying 0.5, 0.75. And once you get to the tip, you do what? You sew like that, like that. So I'm going to use this method to sew all of them. Okay, the 8 pieces I've cut, I'll be using 8 pieces to show you how to go about this. Then when you're making yours, ensure you have as many pieces as you drafted. Okay, remember I'm working on a small scale. So since I'm working on a small scale, so I might have a whole lot of small number of this. Remember I had 24. It's still possible you have less than 24 depending on the gaps. Okay, the gaps you have on the spaces. Like we made 2 inches spaces, you can also make it 3 inches spaces. So if you make 3 inches spaces, it will give you less strip. I believe you understand what I'm trying to explain right here. So I'll keep making these pieces, these strips, the way I've taught you till I'm done with it. So once I'm done with it now, I'll show you how to turn it. Alright, so now I'm done sewing the last one. So I'll just go ahead and use whatever works for me to turn. So first you can see I joined everything in chain. So I'll just keep cutting them, cutting them, separating them, because this time around I need to do what? Turn it. Okay, so I'll pick up one to show you. I'll just push in whatever my loop turner, my screwdriver, or whatever. Okay, so even if it opens, there's no problem because we are done already. So this is the side of it. Okay, the side of this seam. I'm going to iron it well so it lays on the edge, as you can see. So this is the front piece. I'm going to turn the rest of it following that pattern. So from the part I stitched, that is where I'm turning. So I'll turn all of them, give it a good press, then I'll bring it back to the table to show you how to sew it into the skirt line.